Hi everyone, my name is Leo, and with this video we will share a direct comparison between the ToneX pedal versus the amp Academy Stomp. First of all, we will hear the units in action in a demo song, then we will compare the features and technical characteristics of the two units with a very detailed comparison chart. Then we will hear more sounds, also comparing these two units versus a real tube amp and performing our beloved NULL test, and finally I will give you my 2 cents. So I hope you enjoy, and please subscribe and ring the bell, as it would really help me to make more videos like this. Let's start with the demo song. We will now compare the two units among the parameters shown in the screen, like IRs, I/O, effects, etc. First of all, the Amp Academy Stomp provides us with modeling technology and profiling. It has 28 modeled amps and 34 preloaded IRs, each with 9 mic simulations, with the possibility to move them in the space. I mean, across the cab, in a matrix of 20 fixed positions for each of the two IRs. Furthermore, we can load NAND profiles in 30 slots, not natively, but converted in a NULL proprietary format. The ToneX, on the other hand, allows us only to load profiles trained with IK Multimedia proprietary format, and we don't have modeled amps like in the NULL. Furthermore, we can load the so-called VIR cabinets, which are basically IK Multimedia IRs in its proprietary format, that allows us, for instance, to select the mics, the position of the mics across the cabinet, etc. We have 40 VIR cabinets preloaded in the unit. So basically here the units have both similarities, for instance with the Cyber IR engine of NULL that is pretty similar to the VIR IR engine of ToneX, and differences, as NULL has modeling and uses also NAND profiles, where ToneX uses its own profiling tech and it does not offer modeling. Of course, in the more sound section of this video we will check out how these platforms perform with the help of the NULL test. As regards third-party IRs, both the units allows us to load third-party IRs. The NUX at 1024 sample points, and I was not able to find this info about the ToneX. If you know, please drop a message in the comment section. In terms of number of presets, we have 27 presets for the NUX and 150 for the ToneX. The NUX offers scenes management with 3 scenes for each preset in order to have gapless switching. Let's now talk about effects and effects chain management. Here we have differences and similarities. Once again, both the units allows us to manage a signal chain of 9 effect blocks, including amp and cab blocks. With the NUX, the blocks are divided into sets, the ones before the IRs and the ones after. Within these 2 sets of blocks, we can arrange the effects in whatever order we want. To be noticed that the delay and the reverb can be in parallel or in series. Furthermore, in terms of effects, we have 2 noise gates, 3 compressor, an effect block where we can load 15 effects among overdrives, distortions and wah-wah. Then we have 2 EQs, the effect loop for external effects, and then we have 7 delays and 5 reverbs that, as I said, can be in parallel or in series. Finally, I would add that we can not replicate many times the same effect block, and we don't have chorus effects. With the ToneX we have 1 noise gate, 1 compressor, 1 EQ, 6 reverbs, 5 modulations and 2 delays. Each effect can be pre or post, I mean before or after the amp and cab block, and we cannot replicate many times the same effect block. And I would also mention that we don't have parallel effects. Furthermore, there is no effect loop at our disposal. So also in this area we have differences and similarities. Both the units offer physical MIDI ports, regular ones for the ToneX with mini jacks for the NUX. As regards inputs and outputs, the NUX has balanced stereo out, where ToneX has TS output as far as I understood, that are unbalanced. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Furthermore, the NUX has a mono effect loop which is not available in the ToneX, as mentioned previously. The NUX has both aux in and an headphone out, where the ToneX has only an headphone out. As regards foot switches, they are basically identical, with 3 foot switches and an input for an external controller. To be noticed that in the NUX we have an external controller in the box. In terms of screen they are similar, even if the one of the ToneX is kind of an 80s one, where the NUX has a full LCD colored screen. The ToneX can serve as a 2x2 USB-B audio interface at 44.1 kHz and 24 bits, where the NUX is a 4x4 USB-C audio interface at 48 kHz and 24 bits. So here the NUX offers better specs in terms of audio interface, both with 4 channels and 48 kHz. To be noticed that when used standalone, the ToneX reaches 24 bits and 192 kHz. I don't know why the performances are so high when used standalone, where the audio interface specs are so weak in the ToneX. As regards special features, I would mention the Bluetooth support of the NUX with both the computer and the phone app, where for the ToneX I would mention the possibility to create our own profiles with a dedicated standalone application and the Amplitude 5 SE license included in the box, which is nice. In terms of power needs, they are similar, and the NUX can be powered via USB-C, which is nice. As regards dimensions and weight, they are similar again, even if the NUX is a tiny bit smaller and feels a bit heavier, even if on paper they share the same weight. And finally, as regards the price, the AMP Academy Stomp is less expensive. So finally, let me highlight the main differences in my opinion. First of all, I would mention that the AMP Academy offers both modeling and profiling tech, where the ToneX has adopted only the profiling way. ToneX uses a proprietary profiling procedure, where NUX has adopted NUM, which is open source and is a pretty heavy format in terms of DSP power need, and therefore it is converted and simplified in a NUX proprietary format. we will check out the tonal performances in the more sound section of this video. In terms of effects and signal chain management, there are noticeable differences. Basically, the NUX does not have a chorus, but has an effect loop and parallel delays and reverbs, where the ToneX has chorus effects but does not have an effect loop and does not offer parallel effects. So here it really depends from our needs. Then I would mention the audio interface, as the ToneX offers a 2x2 audio interface at 44.1 kHz, where NUX offers a 4x4 audio interface at 48 kHz, which is USB-C, where ToneX has a USB-B connection. Let's now jump to the more sound section of this video to check out if here we have some significant differences, also performing our beloved null tests. Welcome to the more sound section of this video. We will now perform two tests. In the first one, we will check out how these units perform in the null test versus a real Soldano SLO 100, where the null test is based on the principle that if we play two tones at the same time with one of them phase inverted, the lower is the resulting integrated LUFS, the more the two tones are similar each to the other. Then, with the second test, we will check out how these units behave in terms of dynamic range management and the note envelope. Let's start with the null test, with the ToneX versus the real Soldano SLO 100. We have minus 35.5 LUFS. And now Amp Academy versus real Soldano. We have minus 31.5. So, summarizing, we have the ToneX with minus 35.5 LUFS, where the Amp Academy has minus 31.5. Pretty interesting. The ToneX performs a bit better than the Amp Academy, 4 dBs actually, thanks maybe to its proprietary format, where, as I said, the Academy converts num profiles in a stream down proprietary format, and maybe in this conversion step there is a quality loss, having to simplify the neural network to fit inside these tiny units and its DSP. And please notice that for the ToneX I have created the profile using the new profiling procedure at its maximum quality. Let's now go ahead with a second test about dynamic range and note envelope. Now let's jump to my final conclusions. Final considerations here, and please notice that these are gonna be my personal opinions for my specific use cases, and of course you may not agree with me, and this is totally fine. Furthermore, the NULL has been sent me for free, where I have purchased the ToneX with my own money, even if IK Multimedia has given me the Joe Satriani ToneX One for free, also signing it with my name. So I would say that I'm in good relations with both the brands. But of course, this video is not sponsored, and what matters here is you. I'm at your service, and of course, as always, I will tell you my opinions without any influences or constraints. Having said that, let me try to recap where each unit shines in my opinion, both in terms of technical characteristics and sound. On the NULL side, we have the included amp modeling tech, the audio interface at 48 kHz with 4 channels, and that is USB-C. And we also have the availability of an effect loop. On the ToneX side, we have the availability of chorus effects and the performance of the unit standalone with the 192 kHz at 24 bits. Furthermore, with ToneX we have a very easy to use profiling software, where on the NULL side we rely on the NULL training procedure, which is not so user-friendly, even if there are online platforms that allows us to create our profiles. For sure, the amount of NULL profiles that we have for free is pretty amazing, and I love to have the possibility to change the training software as I want, being it open source. Another thing I would point out is that once we adopt NULL and we have our favorite profiles, then we can also change the hardware unit, even changing brands. For instance, with NULL we have the Anagram or the NULL player or the Valetone pedalboards, etc. Where with ToneX we are kind of closed in the IK Multimedia ecosystem, which is of course nice, but for instance we don't have a more complete hardware solution, where for NULL we have the Anagram or the Valetone or the Hot Tone pedalboards. In terms of pure sound, the ToneX has a slight advantage, as for instance in the NULL test it performs better than NULL. This is the advantage of using a proprietary format, in my opinion, tailored to the hardware, where of course NULL adopt NULL, but having to convert it in order to be more friendly towards the DSP. In terms of price, the Academy Stomp is a bit less expensive, where in terms of dimension and weight they are very similar, even if the NULL is a bit smaller and it seems a bit heavier, but really by a small margin. So finally it's very hard to make a choice here, and I myself fluctuate between the two from time to time. I have to say that this kind of pedalboard format is the one I currently prefer, as I can add my own favorite effects pedal, still keeping a small footprint. On the other hand, as I'm currently more in love with NULL and its community, I have a little preference for the Academy. But as I said, I change my mind from time to time. And now it's your turn. Please let me know your precious and valuable opinions in the comment section below. I'm really curious to know which one you prefer. We have now reached the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did it, please subscribe to my channel, ring the notification bell and leave a thumb up, as it would be of a great help. If you're interested in my IRs or ToneX profiles or NULL profiles, you can check out the link in the card above or description below, where there is also a link to a playlist of songs of mine and to my new EP, Art, Love, Freedom. Thank you so much for watching, and see you soon in the next video. Bye bye.